I'm Christine, and welcome to this sample class of the Work It style class in my Move It, Work It, Stretch It yoga series. So, in the series, there are three different class styles that we do each week. The Move It class, which I did do a sample of, and you can check out as well. The Work It class, which I'm going to give you a sample of today, and then a Stretch It class, which is all stretching and yin style classes. So for today, I just wanted to give you a bit of a sample as to what I mean by a Work It class. So it's a strength focused type of yoga class. And I don't want that to be too intimidating either, because the thing is that I used to teach, and it's been very popular to do very advanced, very strength focused yoga classes, level 2 advanced yoga, power flow, all of that kind of stuff. And that's not quite what we do here in the Work It class. What we do here is we just take a emphasis and a focus on our usual yoga practice on building strength and doing strength building movements. So for today's practice, we're going to have a little bit of legs going on. We're going to get into those big, strong, powerful muscles so that we can activate them, connect to our own physical and inner strength, and just enjoy feeling alive, if you will. So we're going to start with some breathing exercise. So we'll start in like a goddess position here. So that means your feet are open quite wide. You've got your toes pointing out. All right. And we're just going to move with the breath. So as you inhale, lifting up with the arms. And as you exhale, you can just swing the arms down, and you're going to sit straight down between your legs, knees pointing out in the direction of your toes if possible. And then inhale, lifting back up. As you exhale, try to drive into your feet and really lower yourself towards the earth. Inhale, lifting. And keep going with your own breath, trying to keep the arms sort of light and fluid here as we create some expansion on the inhale, lengthen the sides of the body, and then activating that nice, strong muscle group of your legs as you sit down. 2 more. There we go. Good. One more time up. And just relax your arms. Good. And we'll just sit ourselves down into that goddess-like position here, or some might call this like a sumo squat. You're going to have your hands on your legs. We'll turn the fingers in and have the palms there on the thighs. We'll just do a couple of shoulder rolls here as you just roll your right shoulder down, bring it up, left shoulder down. You move a couple of times. We're just warming up the body a bit. And already starting to feel perhaps a little bit of fire there in the legs as we sit in a squat-like position. One more. Or at least try to keep it even on each side. Good, and you can come on up. Now we'll turn the feet so that they are parallel. Okay, so your feet are still open quite wide here. We're going to start doing some side lunges from side to side. We're still just warming up, and yet even in our warm up, getting into those muscles. So I like to lift the arms up to the height of the shoulders on the inhale, and that helps me activate a sense of pushing down on the exhale. So I get that action in the hands, and it helps me bring that action into the legs, right? So we'll bend into the right knee, inhale, push the bum back, left leg is straight. Exhale, press and squeeze as you lift up. So you're really using the right leg on that. We'll go side to side. So inhale to the left, squeeze and lift. And right. Your bum moves back and then comes back up. Good. Moves back behind your heels and then up. Pushing the bum back, squeezing and lifting. One more. Push and squeeze. Good. Now heel toe your feet in. And we'll go with about shoulder width apart here. Feet are parallel. So shoulder width apart, a little bit wider with your feet than we typically do in yoga, which is underneath your hips. We're just going a little bit wider here because we're still warming up. We're just going to do some nice basic squats. Again, using the inhale to lift the hands and lower the hips, and then the exhale to really push the ground away. So in this squat, I want you to think about keeping your knees not going past your toes, but I do want them to move forward a little bit so that your shin, instead of staying straight up and down, kind of goes on a bit of an angle, and then drive your hips back, right? So we inhale, we bend those knees a little bit forward, not past the toes, and then squeeze and lift, and even squeeze so much that you kind of drive your hips forward a little bit. Inhale as you lower. Exhale as you lift. There you go. Getting into those big muscles in the back of the legs and the hips. One more just like that, nice and low. You go down as low as you've got the mobility for. Beautiful. All right, we're going to come to stand at the top of the mat. We'll do one sun salutation as we continue to warm things up and get the body moving. Inhale and reach the arms up to the sky, sides of the body nice and long. As you exhale, hinge at your hips and dive down over your legs. Now, you can bend your knees as much as you need to be able to get your fingertips on the floor, but do try to keep the tops of the shoulders wide and broad apart, and then your sit bones lifting up really high. On an inhale, let's just come up halfway, straightening the legs, finding some length in the upper body from hip bone to armpits, and then as you exhale, settle back into an even deeper stretch. Good, and we'll walk the feet back, coming to a plank pose. In plank, we want those shoulders over the wrists and the heels over the toes. You can always put your knees down, okay? Even if your knees are down, I want you to think about pulling in with your navel and really activating your core. Whether your knees are up or down, now bend your elbows to the back of the room. They're grazing the sides of your body, and try to lower your hips and your chest to the floor at the same time. If that's like impossible and your knees were up, then that's a good sign that you need to have your knees down to maintain that control and activate your strength. Squeeze the elbows in by your sides. Push your pubic bone into the ground. So you'll feel that your glutes kind of work a little bit here. It's kind of like getting a tailbone tuck. Roll the shoulders back, squeeze the elbows, and lift your chest into a cobra-like position. Try to keep your neck long, both in the front and the back of the neck. Exhale and release. We'll just do two more as we're warming up the spine. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Good. Tuck your toes. Push into your hands, come onto your knees. And now lift your knees and lift your hips, pressing into your hands into your downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward dog is a great pose for warming up everything and stretching everything out. So pedal at your heels if that feels nice to wake up the legs and stretch them out a bit. Even find some movement in your shoulders if you can as you roll them away from your ears. And bringing the shoulder blades to slide down your back so there's space between shoulders and ears. A little bend in your knees, get your bum up really high and feel a little bit more length between your armpits and your hip bones as you get long in the sides of the body. And if you can keep this nice little curve here in your lower back, start straightening your legs and reaching your heels towards the floor. They don't have to touch. If in doing so your lower back starts to round, that is your sign that you need to keep a little bend in the knees, keep a little lift in the heels to keep that lift in the hips, that sway in the lower back, and even feeling that you can get your chest to move through your arms towards your legs. Take a big breath in and let out a big old sigh. Good, looking up between your hands, and we'll go for a little walk. I like to do little steps here. Try not to rush. Just as a warm-up, every step is another little stretch in your legs as we wake everything up. Feet are hip distance, parallel. Inhale, flatten out that back again, let long in the upper body. Exhale and fold deeply into your legs. Maybe you feel you can go a little further down now. Good. Press your feet into the floor really intentionally as you inhale and sweep your arms up overhead, coming to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. So now we'll do a chair pose, Utkatasana. In chair pose, we do have the feet hip distance apart. So it's like a squat, but now your feet are in closer. They're hip distance. When I'm talking about hips, I'm talking about these bony protrusions here that we have in the front. And I want the middle of your foot more or less underneath that spot. And as you go into a chair pose, as you go into a squat, pushing your hips back and bending your knees, I want you to think about keeping your knees in line with your feet, in line with your hips. So everything here stays in one plane, right? So that means that when you come down, you're not squeezing your knees in. And when you come down, you're not opening your legs out, right? Everything stays solid right there. right? So again, same concept as that squat we did to warm up. I want your knees to come a little bit forward while you drive your hips back and you sit down, but I don't want your knees to go past your toes, right? And this way we can get some weight in the front of the foot and the back of the foot to really stabilize our foundation. And once you're here, you can sit down as low as you can go, as low as you can go. See if you can experiment with going a little lower than you might already be. Now think about wrapping your outer hips together underneath you. What did she just say? So you're thinking about your glutes, you're thinking about your hips, as though without actually changing the structure of your legs, everything being hip distance, you want to bring your sit bones a little closer together. Okay? And then from here, you can have your hands in front of you again, depending on the mobility in your shoulders, or if it happens to feel all right for your back, start to bring your thumbs back, lifting the arms up a little bit more. There's a little bit of a tuck in the tailbone while you drive those sit bones towards one another, and therefore the navel pulls in a little bit and you sit down a little lower. You been here long enough yet? Right? I know. Okay, try sitting a little bit lower. Take one more big breath in, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back, and then exhale, fold. Good. Let's just take our right foot and step it all the way back. Sorry. Take your left foot. I said right, I meant left. All right, step it all the way back. We're in a nice wide lunge here. Front knee over the ankle and then back heel over the toes. And that way we can then turn that back heel down. The foot's now parallel with the outer edge of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up. We're in a warrior two pose, Virabhadrasana 2. In Virabhadrasana 2, your front knee is right over your ankle. So in this one, I want your shin straight up and down. So don't go past it. If you find that it's too easy to go past it, probably means you need to spread your feet farther apart. Good. If you find it hard to get there, your feet are probably too far apart. So that's kind of our gauge right now. And then from here, I want you to think about your feet being like little suction cups where they grip the ground and they pull on the ground, right? So it's like you're actually gripping with your feet. And this helps to draw some muscular energy up from the soles of your feet into your knees. And then even then from your knees up into your hips. So your legs are working, okay? Then from your hips, press out of your legs into the feet, into the ground. So you want to have this balance between drawing up and pressing down. Hands up at the height of the shoulders. You want to keep the upper body nice and fluid, shoulders right over your hips. Good. Maybe smiling. We're holding this one for a little while, as that's one way to activate some muscular energy, to build up some strength. It's like a twitch reaction to move quickly in and out of a pose. It's a whole other ballgame to stay there for a bit. And if you really want to spice it up, if you really wanted some extra fire in this one, go ahead and lift your right heel so you're balancing on the toes. You'll get some calf activation as well and some balance going. We'll be here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If your heel's up, put it down. Press actively into your heel as you straighten your leg and relax your arms. Good. So I want you to continue thinking about that pulling up action from your feet into your knees, from your knees into your hips. Sometimes you may hear, we're going to go into a triangle pose, you may hear an instruction that says something along the lines of micro bend your front knee so that you don't hyperextend. I'm going to give you a different type of instruction. I'm going to say, can you keep so much activation in your muscles that your knee can't hyperextend? So now you don't have to worry about how much it's bent or unbent. You just keep active. Okay? So pull up from your feet into your knees, pull up from your knees into your hips, then also press down into the ground. Takes a bit of practice to figure out how to balance those two things out. Take the arms up overhead. Like you're holding something big over your head, like a box or a big ball, like a beach ball. Keep a broadness across the top of your shoulders. And now, keeping the shape of your upper body as much as possible, just start to lean over to the right like you're going to pass that ball over to someone else. Energy in the legs, pulling up from the feet into the knees, from the knees into the hips. Hang out here with me for another 5, 4, maybe go a little lower, 3, 2, 1. Push into the feet, lift up. Relax the arms. Not bad. All right. We're going to bend into that right knee again, but this time turn onto the ball of the back foot. So there's a little balance here as we move ourselves into a lunge position. Front knee is going to stay over the ankle, back heel over the toes. Charge up with your left inner thigh, get nice and strong, and now take your arms up overhead again, like you're holding that ball overhead. Good. From here, let's start to bend the left knee, and I want you to just graze the ground with your foot, with your knee, pardon me, and then lift back up. Let's do 4 more. Just graze the ground. Don't release to the earth. Press and lift. Graze. Press and lift. Graze. Press and lift. And 1 more. And up we go. Good. Bring your hands to the ground. Framing that front foot. And now from here, lift up with your hips and see if you can jump to switch legs. Oh! If that didn't work, just step. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little bit of a cough here. All right, so from here, we got that nice wide stance in the legs. We'll turn the back heel down. Come up into that warrior 2 on the other side. All right, so remember, front knee over the ankle, straight up and down with the shin. Back leg straight, and you're even pressing down with the outer edge of the back foot a little bit as you draw energy up from the arch. I want you to think about having the arch of your right foot, of your back foot, lifting away from the ground. Activate the lower body, but find a certain softness in your upper body. Gaze out over your left fingertips. There's a pulling up and a pressing down at the same time. Long, full breaths. And if you really want extra fire, pick up that left heel. Find a little bit of balance there too. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heel down. Press and straighten and relax the arms. Good. Now, very especially in a triangle pose, we want to pull up from the feet into the knees, pull up from the knees into the hips, get that activation happening in the legs. Arms up overhead, broad across the top of the shoulders, tone in the belly, and then pass your big ball over to someone else. Just leaning over. Good. So without collapsing into your legs, you've got that energy pulling up from the ground. And yet using the ground as you press into it to create stability. Maybe leaning over a little bit more. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press into your feet and lift up. Relax the arms. Bend into your left knee. Pivot up onto those right toes. You're in a lunge position again. That right inner thigh charges up, right? So I don't want you to be like in a lunge where you're kind of hanging out low to the ground. You're actually trying to lift up from the ground while keeping the deep bend in the front knee. Arms up. Good. And we lift and lower here. Slow and controlled. You'll bend that right knee. Just graze the ground. Don't release your weight to the earth. Press and lift. Good. Graze the ground. Press and lift. 3 more. Lower and lift. And lower and lift. And lower and lift. You did it. You're here. Hands down. Good. And you can try that jump switch thing again. Can you lift up with the hips so much that you can just, whoo, switch your legs around? Good. That takes some practice sometimes. We'll turn our feet so that they're parallel here. Now you're facing the long edge of your mat. And again, I still want you to think about pulling up with your legs, only maybe with a little bit less force this time, and with a little, just a sense of intention, of drawing up the legs right up into the sit bones, so that now, unlike in our Utkatasana where we were trying to bring the sit bones together, I want you to think about trying to spread them apart, like you're mooning someone behind you. You're like, hey, what's up? Rolling the shoulders back. You could always have your hands on blocks. You could always have your knees bent. Whatever's going to help you get into this shape and feel steady and feel like you're stretching. And if you can, beginning to fold even more, releasing yourself down. And have a nice big sigh. Good. If you did fold really deep, just lift yourself up a little bit here. Heel toe your feet in. Step them in so they're about hip distance apart again. Hold onto your elbows and just sway here as you dangle your upper body over your lower body. Swaying from side to side, releasing any sensations and tensions. And then you can relax the arms down and just slowly roll yourself up to standing. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment here, standing tall, standing proud with the eyes closed. May this short practice have helped you connect with your physical and inner strength to help us navigate this crazy, messy, complicated, beautiful life. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I hope you'll check it out, the new series, Move It, Work It, Stretch It. Lots of options available there to practice both live and to enjoy the recordings. I hope to see you there. Namaste.